It's also being recorded by John Rabin. I just approved that.
Perfect. Right. Anybody from the football board have anything they want to talk about before we get going with the flag presentation that Joe, Nick, and I are going to do tonight?
Go for it, John.
All right. All right, good deal. I appreciate everyone coming out. We're going to kind of go over a few things. You kind of saw the itinerary. So we'll just kind of talk about some stuff. Those of you that worked the girls flag football in the winter are going to be familiar with quite a bit of it. There'll be a couple new things for you, so hopefully you get something out of it as well. Those of you that did not work girls flag football in the winter and aren't familiar with the NFHS rule book, this will be a lot of new material for you, and hopefully you'll learn a lot tonight and be ready to go when these games start, which is next Monday, August 31st. So yeah, as I just said, there's major changes to the playing rules from what CCSD has used in the past starting this year. The NFHS rule book is going to be used instead of the Nevada and CCSD rules. So most of those are not going to apply. There's a couple things that are the same, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit, but most of them are going to kind of go over all the differences, which there are many. Before we get going, Joe, Nick, do you guys have anything you wanted to throw out there?
No, I'm good, John. Go for it, man.
Will there be a rule book that goes out to everybody, or they got to buy it, or what?
There is a rule book that is available for purchase online through the NFHS website. We also did receive copies for the high school girls flag season that people are able to get from us. Need to reach out about that, and we can find a way to get those into their hands if they don't want to do the online purchase.
Somebody could purchase the online one. Could we make it a PDF? Share it?
If there was no
I
meeting.
do not know. I don't think they, I think they kind of protect it in that way, as I know, but I do not know. I don't have the online. I get an actual physical rule book, so I have my hard copy rule book. So
I'm on a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
John, can we use the girls' high school rule book from last season until we get our hands on?
Yes, yeah, it's very few changes. So basically, what we have here is I'm going to go over just the handful. There's very few new rules. We'll talk about those in this presentation, along with what we used last year should get you through everything. Plus, there's going to be a CCSD has a little 1 or 2 page rule addendum that kind of just goes over their specific rules with, that are different from NFHS. I'm going to send that over to the football board to have added to the website. So you'll be able to at least see that part there.
Yeah. Oh, please. She wants you to look.
Some people are still not muted. So if you could please mute yourself, that would be helpful.
Hey, John, who's hosting this? Is this you or somebody else?
No, it's the SNOA football board. I do not have control of the muting.
Potatoes, all kind of trouble.
The host is this mute everyone because this is really distracting right now.
Okay.
Who's Richard?
There.
All right, Vince.
My mom.
All right, John.
Yeah. Where do I do that at?
So just go to participants on the bottom, the 67.
All right.
Okay, and then you should have, let's see, mute.
Oh, I got it.
The ability.
All right.
Outside.
I muted everybody.
That sounds good. And then if anybody has any questions, they can just come off mute. Much better. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. So the first thing we'll kind of go over is timing. So this is actually going to be a difference for people that worked flag in the winter, but it actually will look the same to those of you that have worked for us in the past, whether it was CCSD or high school prior to last year. We're using basically nearly those same rules. CCSD, since they have no lights, wants to get these games done within an hour or less. And generally they go less than an hour with this timing. So basically we're going to do two 20-minute halves. There won't be quarters, same as what we've used in CCSD since its inception. We're going to have just a running clock that'll constantly run until the last 1 minute of each half, except for, as we'll talk about here in a minute, timeouts. But otherwise, the clock will run. It runs through incomplete passes, runs through penalties, runs through changes of possession. At 1 minute, we'll stop for a 1 minute warning, basically. And then after that stoppage, it will go back to our traditional high school tackle timing, where we'll stop it if we have a flag, incomplete pass, scoring play, change of possession, player goes out of bounds after a punt, or we'll stop for first downs. First down inbounds will be treated the same as our high school tackle. We'll stop it briefly, get the officials all in position, have our down box, and then we'll wind it back up again. If it goes out of bounds, obviously we'll just go on the snap, same as high school.
Player injury, shut it down.
Player injury, yeah. So yeah, that's the next bullet point here. Anytime we have any charged timeout or an official's timeout, such as for injury or any other reason, we will stop the clock even outside of 1 minute. So that is pretty much the only time that we're going to stop outside of a minute. If we have to call an official's timeout for whatever reason that may be, most common is obviously injury. And any charged timeout will also stop. For a charged timeout, we will come back in on a snap. Any official's timeout outside of 1 minute will be on the White Hats ready for play signal. And there is one new thing, and this is new in the NFHS rulebook. It'll be new in CCSD this year as well, where they had 2 timeouts in the past. NFHS rulebook this season is adding a 3rd timeout, so we will have 3 timeouts in each game here. That's kind of the only thing that may make these games slightly longer than the past, but 1 timeout won't take too much extra time. So I think we'll be all right adding that. Any questions about the timing? And since this isn't in the rule book, it is on that addendum sheet that I'll be sending out to the football board to have on our website. So you'll be able to reference this there as well.
I have a question. Hello?
Okay, starting drives. This is new. This for the NFHS rule book.
John.
Yes.
Shanita had a question.
Oh, okay.
You can hear me.
No,
how
I can hear you now.
long?
Yeah, I got you, Shanita. How you doing?
How long is the timeout?
Timeout. We try to get them in 30 seconds if possible. No longer than a minute.
Okay, just want to make sure.
The old CCSD rulebook said 30 seconds. They didn't adopt any kind of change to the NFHS. NFHS is 1 minute, but kind of play it by, I'd say by somewhat weather as well. When it's hot out, I like to give them even longer than a minute sometimes and get them water. But later in the season, we can cut them down to less, try to get them in 30 seconds, especially since it's, excuse me, starts getting dark earlier so we can get the games done before sundown. That's my suggestion on it, at least.
Hey, John, are we going to be playing on the same middle school fields, or are they going to start playing on high school fields nearby for lighting reasons?
No, we're starting at 3:30, and they're still playing on their middle school fields, so we will have no lights, so we need to get these games done before sundown.
Thank you.
That's one of the reasons for this timing, so they can make sure, because as you know from working in the winter, the freshman and JV games, even with shorter time, we're taking well over an hour most of the time. So they want these games done in less than an hour, which is why we kept our old timing rule to make sure that happens.
One other question, John, speaking of timing, they had started that thing where we couldn't start the game early. So if we finished up the first game early, we had to wait to start the second one. Are they still doing that with the light issue?
In general, we will start according to the schedule. As we go later in the season, I will revisit that once we get to October. And if we can start earlier, once it gets later, I will send a message out or have a message sent out to everybody, which I think by the time we get to October, we will want to start earlier. I'd say no later than 4:30. But I will revisit that with CCSD and see if we can get the second game scheduled immediately following the first game ending.
Hey, John, you may want to check with Xavier on that. I mean,
Yes.
I know last year they sent a couple of memos out. I don't, it didn't affect football, but some of our sports were starting even 5 or 10 minutes early, and the parents were showing up at game time and they were ready whatever into the game. So I know he sent some memos to us last
Yeah.
year, like it didn't affect football, where they did not want the game started early for any reason. But like I said, that's a conversation for you and Xavier.
Right. Yeah. I'll talk to Xavier or Doug Wilbur at CCSD and get clarification on that. I'm assuming once we get up to October without the lights, they are going to want us to start immediately because if not, there is a good chance that these games can go past dark, which I don't think anybody wants. So, yeah.
I have a question, John.
Yes.
What happened? Are these teams going to be responsible for being ready when we start getting into these darker hours? I mean, some teams don't start their warm-ups until, when the other game ends. We're going to start a little earlier. How are we going to push them to get going?
That is beyond our control. We can just ask for assistance from the school district, but yeah, unfortunately, we don't have control over when they start warming up.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what some teams will do. They'll wait till the game is over before they warm up.
Understood. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see what we do and what we can get. So yeah.
The way I've handled situations like that is I found an administrator and I said, hey, get your varsity team because it's getting dark. Get them warmed up, ready to go.
Yeah,
it's just starting the
well.
games earlier than it's generally the first game because then you will want to start the second game early. So, but just to control, I mean, we can't control the sunlight, right? When it sets, when it rises, we can only work around it. So, do your best to get the game in, and just let common sense guide you there.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we'll do what we can to get these games in the allotted time with the amount of sunlight, and that's all we can do. Like Doug said, we can be proactive sometimes if we're getting toward the end of a first game. Talk to somebody about making sure the teams are going to be ready pretty much immediately to get on the field to play right after, whether that be warming up or whatever they got to do to be ready. All right. So next slide is starting drives. This is different than the old rule book, which was the 20-yard line. Now, at the beginning of each half, the offense will start at the 14-yard line. They also will start at the 14-yard line after scoring plays. So they score, not all scoring plays, I should say. I'll talk about one of the differences after, but after touchdowns, the new offense will start on the 14-yard line instead of the 20 like it used to be. A new rule this year for NFHS, so this is new to everyone, even the people that worked in the winter. After a safety, the team that had been in possession, meaning the team that was tackled in their own end zone, will punt from their own 20-yard line, almost identical to tackle football. So they don't have the option for a place kick like we do in the tackle game, since the only types of kicks we have are punts. So they will need to punt, but that will be something new that they'll be doing this year. And no changes have been made to the line of gains. We still have first down every 20-yard interval. We have no chains. Every 20-yard, you could, if you start a drive at the 14, you only have 6 yards to go. So you have 1st and 6 basically is at the start of the game. And depending on how far you are away from the 20-yard line, that's how far it is for the line to gain, no matter what. Any questions about any of this stuff?
Will they have that 14-yard line marked?
That I'm unsure of. I would assume a couple will, but knowing them, most probably won't. So hopefully they'll have at least a big line for us and we can walk off those 6.
Yeah, and girls flag, Doug, we did that last year. We just walk it off. It's 1st and 6.
Sounds good.
What was the purpose of the 14 versus the 15?
That's a great question. That's one
Good question.
always wondered myself.
I mean,
Yeah, we don't know.
I mean, it would be something.
As an offsides, it'd be a first down.
Well, I guess
So
the
I could just
question is,
easily
do they
step-
have the?
I could easily step across the line of scrimmage, give you a first down. Now it's 1st and 20.
Do they have that 5-yard no run zone in middle school still?
We'll talk about that later, but we have no run zone whatsoever anymore.
Okay, then that
Yeah.
that part of it is out. All right.
Yeah. So the reason, Larry, I do not know. That's the NFHS Rules Committee question, and we did not have a representative from our officiating group on there. The one coach that they have on the committee came from our state, so we didn't get an officials representative, which, yeah, so it is what it is. All right, anything else?
Do we start, as far as the plays, we put the ball down in the middle of the field, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, no hash marks.
Same as before, yeah. All right, moving on. So that's one of the things we'll talk about in this slide here. Same size field. We're using the same types of flags, the triple threat flags. The rule book does talk about the poppers. We have not authorized the popper flags, at least at this point. It's been in some discussion outside of the officiating group, but for now we're still using our same triple threat flags. Overtime and all this stuff on this page will be in that document that I had mentioned earlier, the CCSD rules and Nevada State rules. For overtime, for these games, we're using an alternating 1-point try. So we have no alternating 4-play possessions, nothing like that. As soon as we get to overtime, we just start with 1-point tries from the 3-yard line until a winner is determined. So each team will get a shot at it. As soon as an overtime, two possession overtime period ends with one team in the lead, that's when the game ends. Running clock is going to be the same as it has been in CCSD, 19-point or greater lead in the last 1 minute of the second half. Clock runs, we won't stop it for those reasons that we would normally in a tackle game, incomplete passes, change of possessions, etc. Clock will run through all of that. And halftime is the same as it has been, 5 minutes. Questions?
Hey, John, on the overtime, it will still be a no run zone, or they can run or pass on that 3-yard line overtime?
They can run or pass. We have no more no run zones whatsoever. Those are done. Those are a thing of the past.
Okay, so just be like a regular game, then they won't have a restriction on running or passing. Thanks.
Correct. Yep, you're welcome. All right, here's a big change for them. This is something that high school had used for a couple years. Middle school had never used this before, but it is in the rule book, and they will use physical punts now starting this year. When they punt must be declared. The ball must be received by the punter and punted from 2 or more yards behind the line of scrimmage. Don't split hairs on this one. These players are still getting used to it. I say just give them a lot of warnings if they get in front of that 2 yards when they punt. Just try to make them legal. We don't want to be stopping the game for this particular foul, but by rule they need to be 2 more yards. So let's talk to them, get them back there. Whether they need to drop back on it, they have no rusher, so they shouldn't be under pressure and under any kind of duress. So.
Same thing with the 5-second restriction. Just give them time.
Yeah.
Don't get crazy with the 5 seconds.
Yeah. That's one of the things that will, they have 5 seconds to punt the ball. So give them plenty of time to get that punt off without throwing a flag for delay of game, please. Especially this being their first year punting at all. Punts may be returned by the receiving team. Punt, it would be dead if it's once after it touches the ground, only after it's touched by a player. So if either the kicking or receiving team touches the ball and then it hits the ground after it's been touched, it's dead. If it's just a punt that is rolling, it had never been touched by either team, it can be picked up as long as it's picked up cleanly, not muffed back to the ground. If it's picked up cleanly, it can be returned by the receiving team. If they try to field it and then it hits the ground again after they've touched it, then it's dead. Touchback, just like normal tackle football, is a touchback if it breaks the receiving team goal line. No returns from the end zone are allowed. Once the ball has been kicked, and only after it's been kicked, either team can cross the neutral zone. Forward motion by the kicking team is permitted only after the ball is kicked. So the kicking team needs to be stationary until after the punter's foot has hit the ball, then they can go cover. Receiving team on their side of the ball, as long as they don't cross the neutral zone, they can move around on their side of the ball as much as they want prior to the kick. There is one weird thing. It would be very difficult for this to happen, but it is possible. If a receiving team player muffs the ball in the air and a kicking team player catches it out of the air before it hits the ground, the ball would be awarded to the kicking team, similar to the tackle football game.
So it's like recovering a muff.
Yeah, essentially. But the only way to do it is recovering it out of the air in this game, because as soon as it hits the ground, the ball's dead. But if they were to be able to recover it out of the air, the kicking team can keep it. Just like tackle, they cannot advance it, but they would take possession of the spot that they caught the ball.
That makes
I had it
sense.
once. I had it once last year, John, during the flag, and it was weird when it happened.
You did have? Okay, yeah. I didn't know it happened last year. I hadn't heard about that. Yeah. Good to know. So yeah, it is possible, obviously. Yeah.
I saw it once too in a high school game, but we let it go and we gave it to the kicking team.
All right.
One
And
more
then,
thing with
go ahead.
touchback. One more thing with touchback, real quick. We're putting it at the 14 after a touchback. Now, for a safety, it goes to the 20. That's the only difference.
That is correct. Yep. And then
That's something that we will probably mess up the first week.
Nah, you'll never mess that up, though.
That's why we're talking about it. So we don't mess it
Right,
up.
right. I got it.
Yeah. But mistakes do happen with, as with any officiating sports or any sport you officiate. But yeah, we'll try to keep those to a minimum as always. As far as spotting the ball, if there is a punt that is muffed forward and hits the ground in advance of where it was muffed, we bring it back to the spot of the muff. If it is a muff and it lands behind the spot of the muff, we put it at the spot where it hit the ground. So just keep that in mind. A punt may be legally blocked. It's rare. I have actually seen this, but the player on the receiving team who blocks it, the only way they can do it is if they stay on their side of the neutral zone and basically jump straight up. So it'd probably have to be a low trajectory punt. But if it is a low punt and they jump up, have their hands up, they are able to block that. And kind of as Joe was talking about earlier, the ball must be kicked within 5 seconds. Please make it a slow 5 seconds if teams are struggling getting that done in time. The only time we really need to be sticklers on this, if we're toward the end of a game and a team is ahead and you can tell they're trying to milk the clock, then we'll be sticklers on it in that situation. Other than that, give them plenty of time. They're just learning how to punt. So, yeah. Questions about any of this stuff?
Yeah,
Just
John,
one.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Kevin, you had something?
On a blocked punt, do we ignore that as first touching and it can still be advanced, or is that dead when it hits the ground after a blocked punt?
No, just like as long as they're blocking it, they're standing just in front of the neutral zone. We do have the same rule where we will ignore that touching by the return team. So that is the only time that we ignore the touching by the return team. So it could be caught out of the air still and advanced in that case. Anything else? Doug, did you have something?
Hey, John, I got one.
Okay.
We did have incidents last year. If the punter beans the back of one of their offensive players, wherever the ball strikes the ground is dead.
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we that's not really clarified well in the rule book, but we got an interpretation from the rules committee on that I sent over. That is the case.
To mine, it's just on the backward muff where, say, it just happens to hit a player and it hits the goal line next, or a pylon or whatever. Are you going touch back on that since it's? It says backward muff or muff backwards possession at the spot where the ball hit the ground.
Yeah, that would be the correct way to enforce that, or to rule on that. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, just to be clear, the defense, the punt return team, they have to start 5 yards off the line of scrimmage?
No, they just have to be on their side of the neutral zone. Their neutral zone is 1 yard, so they only have to be 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage.
Okay.
They cannot cross, but 1 yard is all they need to be.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. On the next one, formation motion shifts. Offensive formations, there are really no formation requirements anymore. The only player that needs to be on the line of scrimmage is a snapper. In flag, there is no such thing as covered receivers either. So if they put all 6 on the line, they can do that. All are eligible still, including the snapper. Offensive motion and shift rules are the same as our previous rules, same as tackle football. 1 player in motion, and it has to be either backward or parallel. You cannot have motion toward the line. You cannot have more than 1 player in motion. For the quarterback, this is the same as before. Quarterback must be at least 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage when receiving the snap. That applies to the feet. So their hands and body could be closer, but we're just going by where their feet are located, which should be 2 yards or more behind the line of scrimmage. The defense, just like I just mentioned a second ago, must be a minimum of 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage at the snap. So we'll have a full 1 yard neutral zone. So it's bigger than the tackle football game. The offensive team will be at their line. We'll have 1 full yard of no man's land or no woman's land, depending on which level you're doing. And that anyone encroaches into that from either team prior to the snap, we have a foul. All 7 players on defense can be pass rushers now without any kind of restriction. Used to old rules, it had to be a certain number of yards, 5 yards back. Now they only have to be that 1 yard, and all 7 of them could potentially rush. So they can put.
And in the past, we treated it like encroachment in tackle. If they're in a zone, doesn't matter their feet. If their head's in a zone, they're encroaching. That's what we've been treating it the whole time. And gross flag.
This is
we try to make them legal, of course. Get them back, But
like Joe said, this is one where it might seem ticky-tack, but if a player is leaning on the defense into the neutral zone, your 1 yard is already a very, very easy rush when the players can't block. So we want to make them legal. We may give them a warning, but we want to make sure that we back them up and don't allow them to get that extra lean into the neutral zone. It's such a huge advantage with only 1 yard, put that kind of pressure on a quarterback, and especially a middle school aged quarterback. So make sure we get those defensive players legal.
And that'd be a dead ball foul.
Correct. Yep. That is it. Dead, just like high school encroachment, dead ball. Anybody have anything else on this one?
Yeah, John, just got another question. So if they can have their players on, they can be either in the back or on the line, whatever. There's no rules on that. They can still motion a person out the line of scrimmage, right? Or do they got to be a back first?
Are you talking? So you're talking about a player who was initially lined up on the line of scrimmage, going in motion, and then
Yeah,
being
if they're
still
just-
in motion at the snap.
No, so say they get set and then they send a person in motion, they can motion anybody, right? Since there's no rule. So they can motion off the line and not be declared a back first before going in motion.
Correct.
Like in
yeah.
high school. Okay.
Yeah. We do allow that as far as motion. Really, the only player that couldn't go in motion is the snapper. Yeah. So.
Cool.
Yeah,
The only thing they can't do in that instance is take a snap because they won't be the 1 yard back.
Right.
They can't trick him and try and get the snap to them and run around the end because they won't be back far enough. I see what you're saying though, Doug. Yes, they can do that.
Wait, Joe, I got a question. If they swing back behind the quarterback, they can take a snap, correct? You know, like a lateral snap?
Yes, they can. I'm talking if they hug the line of scrimmage, not go back 5 yards like tackle. If they hug the line of scrimmage and they're almost touching the other players, they can't take the snap because they're not the 1 yard back. Going behind a
Yeah, I
QB,
got
absolutely.
that. I was just saying that for general purposes, but yeah, I got that.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. They could do it if they go behind a QB.
Yeah. To your point, any player who's in motion could become the quarterback that gets the snap as long as they're a minimum of 2 yards. But yeah, like the situation we were talking about, they would not be deep enough to legally get a snap. All right. Move on. Scoring plays. So we kind of touched on this earlier in the overtime portion. Where the 1 point try happens has changed. Our old rule book was 5 yard line. Now it has aligned with a try for tackle football 3 yard line. So should be easy to remember for us. They're going for 1. If they are going for a 2 point try, they'll declare that and they'll put the ball at the 10 yard line, which is the same place that our old rule book had it. This is a change from the old rules. There is no more defensive returns for on extra point plays. So it aligns with tackle football. So in that way, it should be easier for us to all remember, especially during this time of year. As soon as the defense gets the ball in their hands, whether it be from a fumble in the air or an interception on a try play, it's immediately dead. Try is over. There is a new rule this year. This is new in the NFHS rule book. So for those of you that worked high school, this is different for you as well. After a score, the onside play can be done at any time in the game now, which it used to only be the fourth quarter. So a team can declare an onside play at any point in time, as long as they are trailing in score. And it changed from the old rule. Now it's a fourth down play from the 20 yard line, the minus 20. Line to gain is the 40. So they have 20 yards to go. I don't anticipate seeing a whole lot of teams using this until end of game situations. So it should probably come into play in a similar way, but you never know. They can declare it anytime they're trailing, and it's 4th and 20 from their own 20, anytime in the game. Questions about this stuff?
So it's one play it's fourth down and 20. It's a fourth down play.
Yeah, it's a fourth down play. So essentially,
okay, so they get one play.
Yeah, you get one play. If you make the line to gain, you continue the drive as usual from where it lies. If you get a penalty, results in a first down. So you have a roughing the passer, then they would get a first down and continue the drive in that regard. So basically, they have to either make the line to gain of the 40 or get a first down by penalty to continue the drive.
If they don't get a first down, if they don't get there, where does the other team take over the ball at?
Where it
Where they-
lies. So in this
Okay.
case, it could, if they throw an incomplete pass, it's at the 20. If they get maybe a 10-yard gain, it would be at the 30. So yeah, wherever the ball lies. So just like if they were to have a turnover on downs, essentially.
No, okay, thanks.
You're
So,
welcome.
John, just to clarify, roughly the pass is 10 yards. So essentially, if we have that, we repeat fourth, that'd be 4th and 10 versus 4th and 20, correct?
That is not correct, no, because that one actually has an automatic first down attached to it. So if we have any penalty with an automatic first down, such as roughing the passer, they actually would get a first down, and then it would be 1st and 10 from the 30, and they would continue the drive. So that is the team needs to be careful in that case.
That's an important point. That's why I brought it up. Thank you.
Yep.
Just
absolutely.
treat it like any other fourth down play.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, that's the easiest way to think of it. What Joe said, think of it like any fourth down play. What were the results?
Hey, John.
Yes.
And no fouls can carry over to the onside play, correct? They'll all have to be enforced on the try.
Actually, our old rule, that was the case. The new rule book, you can tack on penalties up to the onside. I didn't want to get too deep into all of that, but yeah, that it is a possibility to do that. So say you have roughing the passer on the scoring play, team is still trailing, they could go for an onside play, 4th and 10 from the 30, potentially, if they tack that one on. Our old rule book, we did not allow that. It's kind of a big advantage, but I guess don't foul and you won't have to worry about it. It's, I think, what the NFHS Rules Committee idea was behind that. All right. Anything else? Oops. So this one's pretty simple. We've kind of touched on it already. So some people had some questions. So there is no more no-run zone. You can legally run anywhere, anytime on the field. And we used to have a limit on quarterback runs. There is no more limit to quarterback runs. A quarterback can run on any down anywhere on the field without restriction. So pretty straightforward here. Just a big difference from our old rules, but this is what it is now. So here's a big one. This is the one with the most, probably you hear the most complaints from coaches, the most amount of judgment on our part, and it is the new blocking/illegal contact rules. Our old rules, we did have physical blocking. You could put hands on people to block them. That is no longer the case at all. While there is still some incidental contact that's going to happen, it's essentially as close to non-contact as flag football can be nowadays. So no more physical blocking. No contacting of any player that is a potential blocker is permitted by the defense, meaning the defense cannot run into a potential blocker who is screening them either. They are required to go around. Only screen blocking is now allowed. You cannot contact with any body part. Can't throw your hip out, can't throw a leg out, can't throw an elbow out. You just have to do your best to get in the way of the defender. For those of you that officiate basketball, it's similar, or watch basketball if you don't officiate it, similar to the block charge call in basketball. If a screener is moving in the appropriate direction, like meaning not running at a defender, or moving way side to side or backward to try to get in the way of a defender getting toward the ball carrier, they have that position and the defense can't run into them. If they get there late, then they've committed a foul against the defense for an illegal contact or illegal block. Screen blocking is allowed anywhere on the field, meaning you can do it downfield, you can do it in the backfield, wherever. You are allowed to screen anywhere on the field, and it's the same requirements for offense and defense, no matter where it happens on the field. There is no extension of arms for either team allowed, so offensive player can't put their arms out in an attempt to block. A defensive player can't put their arms out to push a defender, work around a defender. So defenders must avoid the screen blockers, as I said, and may not run through them. And we've never really allowed that, even under our old rules, to run through them, but they could actually run to where they were at, put hands on them, and try to work around previously. That is no longer allowed.
With the screen blocking, what I've seen is they try to be smart and throw to hip, like you're not going to see it. You know, their arms are about their size, but they're throwing at hip, so just be careful of that.
Yep, a lot of blockers will try to throw a late hip. They'll throw a late leg out, and sometimes trip an opponent. So yeah, definitely got to keep an eye on that. They try to do whatever they can get away with if we let them.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Real quick on the screen blocking allowed on any play. Yes, clear. However, they still cannot be blocking downfield when there's a pass in flight, correct?
No, they can. Since physical blocking is not allowed, you can screen downfield, but you cannot have any physical contact downfield. So if there's physical contact by an offensive player downfield, then we do have a foul.
We have a foul for blocking, not for pass interference.
It's potential. We could potentially have an offensive pass interference foul if there is contact initiated, but there does have to be contact for there to be a foul.
Okay, so if there's no contact and screen blocking is happening and the ball is forward pass beyond the line of scrimmage and it's in the area of the receiver, effectively making that a pick play, even though it's a screen, that is not OPI?
If there is contact, that would be OPI. If there is no contact and it's just a legal screen, there's no foul.
Okay.
So basically, if the defender is coming, the screener is still moving, they are not allowed to create any kind of contact. If the screener gets there before the pass is thrown to the offensive player and the defender runs into them, that's on the defender because the screener already had that position and never moved. So it'll be pretty rare that we'll see that, but
I think we're going to see that a lot.
Where the screener doesn't move at all?
I think if
no.
I think if you got a player shield blocking in a stationary position, I can see the defender making contact with him, try to draw a foul.
Yeah, that's correct. If they're stationary, it's pretty rare that offensive teams use this effectively, where they can get to a spot, get there stationary, and then have the receiver come in behind them. Usually, the offensive player is still moving, in my experience with it, and we have a foul on the offense for either illegal blocking or potentially OPI.
Yeah, I was commenting that having the moving screen while the pass is in flight, I imagine we're going to see that a lot.
And yes, that is illegal on the offensive side. Yeah.
I had a question about the blockers. Are we requiring them to have their hands straight down behind their back, or can they cross their arms and cover like their chests? Does it matter where we
There's no restriction on where to put their hands. That's we can't do that. They just can't use their hands to block.
Yeah, the only restriction is by extending their arms, and even that does not become a foul until there's contact. But those three things you mentioned, Greg, all three are legal blocking techniques.
It was Matt, who's on, the coach at Shadow Ridge, had an interesting talk with him last season about it, and he said, well, the intention was to have them with their hands behind their back, and I'm like, well, y'all didn't say that in the book. So
they haven't changed it this year either. So yeah,
I told him, I said, hey, y'all gotta address that. But yeah, okay, doesn't matter, no problem.
Yep, yeah, they haven't changed it this year either. So,
and the defenders can't be hands on a receiver going down the field now, correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
No hands on the receiver. Yep.
Hey, John, just as a basic average, like say there's 30 middle schools, just as a number. How many of those 30 middle schools are going to have 2 games per day, or do you have an answer for that?
That's a good question, and we have no answer whatsoever. They haven't told us which schools are going to have more than one team or not. As of now, we're operating, I've sent the first 2 weeks out as if they're all going to have 2, although as we know from past years, that isn't the case. So once we have more clarity, some schools completely drop the programs for both levels in the past. Some will do a combined co-ed team, but we have none of that information yet. They seem to be behind schedule on doing things in that regard. So, but as soon as I have the information, I will get that passed on to the crew chiefs.
Yeah, okay. A co-ed game is fine because the rules aren't any different. So that's kind of why I asked the general question. Thank you.
Same either way. Yep, you're welcome.
Well, excuse me for raising my hand. I just want to know, where do we enforce these fouls from? Can you hear me?
Which fouls? The blocking?
Yes.
Same.
Especially if it's downfield.
We would enforce them exactly the same as in high school tackle football. So we have one of these fouls behind the line of scrimmage on a pass play, for example, which is probably one of the most common ways we will see them. We'll enforce from the previous spot. If it's downfield and it was, say, an incomplete pass, we'll go previous spot. Downfield on a run that goes beyond the spot of the block is from the spot of the foul. If the spot of the foul is behind, or I'm sorry, in advance of the end of the run, but the end of the run is beyond the line of scrimmage, we'll go from the end of the run. So exactly the same as you do in high school tackle football. Easiest way to. You're welcome. All right. Anything else? All right. Player down and ball spotting. So we've had a little bit of change to this. Some it's the same, some is different. If this is the big difference here, if a flag falls off inadvertently, in the past the player was always dead, but now if a flag falls off inadvertently without being pulled, the runner can still advance the ball. And the way to get that player down, they have to be touched by a defender between their shoulder and knees. So just keep that in mind. I know I saw it last year. People are used to when they fall off killing the play. So we had a couple of inadvertent whistles in the high school season. But let's try to remember, if it falls off inadvertently, that player can stay alive and still advance the ball until they are touched. And as it says here, the touch is required between the shoulder and the knee. The reason being, you don't want the defender going at someone's head or below the knee, trip them. So it could be a foul against the defender if they touch them in that area. Same as before, the forwardmost point of the ball is where the flag is pulled. Or I'm sorry, the spot is at the forwardmost point where the ball is when the flag is pulled, I should say. So similar to the tackle football game, here you might see players holding the ball out in front of their body, and they can do that and not get that extra yardage. Forward fumble inbounds is spotted where the ball hits the ground, unless it lands in the end zone. Lands in the end zone. If it went forward in the end zone, it would be a touchback. The other team would take possession. If it goes forward in the end zone, safety, kick 20. This is something that is rare. I never saw this last season at all, but if we have a forward fumble that goes out of bounds and first touches out of bounds, then it goes back to the spot of the fumble. Most fumbles we see are in the regular field of play and they just go where the ball hits the ground. But if we do have one that is in the air, lands out of bounds before touching the ground, it goes to the spot of the fumble. Just tackle football. Any questions? So kind of put together just some basic mechanics. This is just for kind of people that haven't done this before, and people that maybe haven't used this rule book. Our mechanics slightly different than what our old rule book was, where we had the line judge just 5 yards. The headlines was right on the line. Referee is essentially the same as they've always been. They'll blow the ready for play whistle, count the offense or punting team. We want them about 10 to 14 yards behind the line of scrimmage, about 7 yards from the center of the field on the line judge's side. Headlines straddle the neutral zone now, so you basically are responsible for both the offensive and defensive team under this new rule book and mechanic. So you'll be calling, just like in the tackle game, false start or encroachment fouls as needed. Punt, you're responsible for making sure no players of either team cross into the neutral zone before ball's kicked and then move downfield. And line judge, on regular scrimmage plays, be ready to cover the next line to gain or the goal line. And if we're in goal line mechanics, you're responsible for the end line, and the head line judge will take goal line. But make sure you have some crew communication so we have all the key lines covered. Line judge is responsible for counting defense on the receiving team, and they'll be behind the deepest receiver on a punt play. And just like tackle game, came back the end of the kick. That's just kind of a really brief overview with your crew on game day. Just make sure everyone's on the same page with how you're working the game. This is mostly for brand new officials, but anybody have any questions on this?
Just a quick statement, John, on that headline judge, make sure that when they straddle that 1 yard is that neutral zone. So they need the 1 foot at the front point of the ball, the other foot a yard away. So you are the defining line of that neutral zone that they can't be lined up in.
Yeah, a lot of times the players might look to you, especially on the defensive side, to see if they're good, to look for a thumbs up. So yeah, make sure you're there, lining them up correctly and backing them up if needed. Just like Kevin said. All right, anything else? Joe, Nick, you have anything you want to add here?
The only thing I'd say is line judge, you have to help out with that line to gain. If you are downfield quite a distance, come down and help your head linesman out and move a little bit. That way you guys can both get that line to gain as the important line. Don't stay stationary.
And, of course, we're going to assign a veteran with each game for the new people, but the people who have done Gross Fly for a while, help out the new people, because we've been using these rules for a year already. So let's give them a chance and train them well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, make sure if you're a veteran with new people, try to get with your crew, see if they'll show up a little bit early, talk through some mechanics, and make sure that we get everything covered as best we can and get them trained up right, for sure. Good point. Anything else?
Yeah, I've got two things. One time last year, the game clock was not available, and I approached the school administrator. She told me it was our responsibility to have a clock on the sideline. Was she right?
Well, no, we do not have provide clock operators. CCSD will not pay us for clock operators. So we have run into kind of both scenarios. Every school was provided with a portable clock and was told to have somebody run it. But based on my experience with CCSD flag football, about 50% of the schools, either their clock is not operational, not available, person doesn't know what they're doing. So I would say go into every game prepared to have someone on the crew time the game. Yeah,
absolutely. Play the game. Let's get the game played. If you got to keep it on the field, just like NYS, fine. No big deal.
Yeah, and sometimes
we don't need a. I mean, we can let somebody know. Hey, there was no clock at this field, but we're going to play.
Okay, thank you. And the second thing I had was, I don't know if this will come into play, but did they discuss tiebreakers for playoffs? Because I know some of these schools, they want to if points, total points at the end of the year is the tiebreaker, they want to run up the score, or what perceived as running up the score, when they're just trying to secure a playoff spot, and we have to, intervene between the two coaches that are arguing over that subject. So is there a playoff format that we're familiar with?
I am not familiar with the tiebreaker specifically, but what I do know is last year there was a team that went 1-1 against each other and was tied in the standings. And they actually played a play-in game. So they did not take point differential into account at all in that situation. They just played an extra game. So I believe that is how they do it. I don't think point differential will make any difference whatsoever if it's the same as what last year was.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, John, speaking of overtime, is it going to be the same for boys and girls? And is there one set of rules for overtime versus how we used to do it where it was JV or B or something, and the overtime rules were different? Is it going to be the same for middle school across the board?
Yeah, boys and girls, that's the exact same overtime. In middle school, we just go straight into 1 point PATs, alternating until we have a winner. Boys and girls, yep.
From the 5 or the 10, or is there specific rules like we do twice from the 2 or from the 5 and then we go from the 10, and we just always from the 10?
From the 3.
We go for a 1 point PAT from the 3-yard line.
Indefinitely?
Yep. Right from the first overtime on. There is no possession series. It is just a 1 point PAT play. So each team gets 1 play on offense, alternates that 1 play. If we have a winner after 2 plays and the game's over, it's still tied. We keep going until one of those overtime period ends with somebody ahead in the score.
That's good to know, and that's a legitimate question because rules have varied over the years based on level of play. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Larry, you want to talk about the ejection policy too, right? I mean, because I know we get through these middle school games and we are not going to go a whole season without ejections.
No, that's a good point. And I'm looking at my ejection data right now that we had in middle school soccer, middle school flag. The biggest thing that I'm looking at right here was aggressive play that was above and beyond just normal play, right? If it's aggressive and you deem it's just too much and you got to eject the player, do the best you can not to. But if you have to and it rises to that level, then just eject that player. Racial slurs, anything, just eject them. We don't want to deal with that. And the school district will stand by us 100%. For all of us on here, though, we're going to come in to some situations with some coaches who may get a little excited, right? They're going to test our tolerance of where we're going to be at. Let's do our best to work with them and not against them. All of us just go out there with a good attitude and just smile on our face and do the best we can. And I get it. Not every coach is going to be the best, and some are going to be a little more difficult to work with, but let's not stoop down to their level. Let's just be as professional as we can and represent SMOA as best as we can.
All right. And Larry, I got a comment too. Each one of these middle school games has school police, right? If we got any issues, none of us need to encounter, especially with the spectators, any kind of altercations. I mean, the last couple of years we've had 2 situations where we've had physical contact and a brawl after a game with our officials. That is unnecessary, and we should never have that. So I did confirm with CCSD, I don't know, about a month ago, that there will be 2 school police at each one of these games. So if we have an issue with a spectator, we don't need to engage with the spectators. Find out who the administrators are, get the school police, have them deal with it. Like I said, the last thing we need is to have a fight or something with our officials and these parents, and especially these middle school games, okay?
Okay, Vince, that's good, but I had not yet seen at a middle school game police officers.
Well,
I have not.
I can say this much. I was told that they will have 2 at every game. Obviously I'm not at every game, but I can say that probably the 10 or 15 games I worked last year, they were there at every game. So I would say this, if you're out working games and there's no school police, I would ask the school administrator if they're on site, right? I mean, they're supposed to be on the field, but I can say some of these events, when they're supposed to be there, they're in the car or they're somewhere on the premises. If you walk on the field and there's no school police, find out who the admin is and make sure somebody's there, okay?
Okay, but I had worked several games, and I mean, it wasn't one police officer there.
So here's what we're going to do. We're not going to not start a game because there's no police around. We're going to start the game and go through it. And as Vince said, with the multiple things going on at the school, we don't know where that police officer, they're not going to be dedicated just to that flag football. There may be something going on in the gymnasium, Matt. I understand your point, but I think
I don't have a problem with it, Larry. I'm just saying, me personally have not seen an officer at any of my games. I don't need them. I'm just saying I have not seen them.
yeah, and I can't tell you if they're going to be there or not. That's a good question, but I can almost bet you they're not going to be standing there at the flag football game. They're probably going to be somewhere around the campus or a campus security monitor, but they're not going to be armed school police. That I could tell you.
Right. Okay. No problem.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you encounter an issue with anybody, right, we got to go through the chain of command. The chain of command when we arrive is no different than the tackle games, which is find the administrator and have the administrator deal with the issues. Right. We don't need to be dealing and interacting with spectators, and especially these flag games, because there is no barrier between the sidelines and where these spectators and we are. Okay. And the last thing we need is to have an altercation that turns physical, which, like I said, unfortunately has happened the last couple of years.
Hey, Vince and Larry, this is Joe. If there was something where we needed police, would we stop play until they arrive?
If it gets out of hand and you feel that your safety is in jeopardy, just walk away. We're not going to wait around and put ourselves in that situation. And I'll back you 100% on that.
All right, great.
Yep.
I got one last point. When the games are over and you got some heated fans, get in your car and go home. It doesn't do us any good to mingle in the parking lot and have post-game situations when we're parking right where the fans are parking their cars as too. Okay, so if there's anything going on, just get in your car. You don't have to fully undress on the parking lot and just get out of there. And if anything happens, please let Larry or myself know. The school district, and especially the leadership they got in charge over there now, I mean, they're pretty proactive. If we encounter an issue, and myself or Larry or the football board, whoever knows about it, I can tell you this much: the CCSD will handle it. Don't you agree, Larry?
Yes, I do.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. I know we're a little bit over schedule, but I do think we should go over this stuff. This is important stuff, just safety of us, players, coaches, and as Vince just alluded to, there are fans that will be right on the sidelines. So let's do our part to keep the safety of the game in mind. Use our restricted area, which is 2 yards from line of scrimmage, meaning during play, no one should be within that restricted area. And that includes coaches, players, and fans. No one except us. That is our office. Make sure we're in our position mechanically in the right position that will put us in the best position to stay safe ourselves. Drones has occasionally become an issue. Just make sure if there is a drone in the air, we stop play until it clears out of the area of the field. Prior to any game, make sure we're there a little bit early to inspect the field, identify any potential hazards. As we know, these are not turf fields for those of us that have worked it. These are grass fields that can potentially have some issues that need to be addressed before the game. Get to game management, have that problem taken care of immediately if we have anything. Same with player equipment, do our pregame check. Just like in tackle football, we are to talk to both head coaches and get them to let us know that all players are legally and properly equipped in accordance with our rule book. We can spot check equipment and uniforms at that time as well during our pregame checks.
Hey, John.
Sure. Yes.
JD, I think it's JD Smith's. They have a horrible field. They got potholes everywhere, like deep potholes. So what do we do in that situation?
I was just about to say something about that too.
if the field isn't determined to be playable and game management cannot get it to a safe playing surface, then we are not to play the game on it, and then we need to basically send me probably send the football board an email, and then they'll get it to myself and the school district. We'll work through however we got to handle it, whether the team can get that fixed and play, or they have to move all their home games to road games, however it may be. But if a field is not playable, just notify us immediately, and then we'll need some kind of written report, and we'll send it up the chain to the school district to get that taken care of.
Copy that. Fill out an email to the
Derek,
board, Larry, and also a Connor. Just include all of us on there so we all know what's going on at the same time on that.
Okay.
Derek, when was the last time you were there and you seen the field?
Last year, matter of fact.
Okay, so probably a lot's changed in a year or so.
No.
Okay.
It's north side.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
All right, no, we'll communicate that.
Hey, John, if you remember, I don't know if Corey Dominic's on the call, but he encountered that situation last year with some pretty big potholes, and he chose not to play the game. The coaches were trying to sway him to play the game, but I told Corey that night, I said, Corey, if you play the game that's unplayable and if somebody gets injured out there, and we know it's safe, we're the ones liable for that. So
exactly.
I can tell you this much, dealing with all of our sports, if the field is unplayable, talk to the administrators. Do not cancel a game until you talk with the school admin, bowl coaches, inspect the field. And like was said, when you get home from the game, notify us, because when the issue occurred last year at one of the schools and it was not J.D. Smith, they had maintenance out the next day fixing the issue.
And we'll communicate with the school district in the morning. We'll shoot an email to Xavier and Wilbur and let them know they can get it out to their middle school principals and facilities.
Yeah, my experience with them too is they back us if we make that call, as long as it's legitimate. I mean, don't just be like, oh, well, I don't feel like working today, so I'm going to say it's not good. But no, anything legitimate, they will back us 100%.
Hey, John, was there a coaches meeting with all these new rules and all these things?
Not really. They basically, what I did is this same presentation or most of this information in this presentation, Doug asked me to send to him like in June or something like that. So I sent him that and he posted it to the coaches, and they're supposed to get the new rule book. So there was no actual rules meeting for the coaches, unfortunately.
I think everybody's probably going to experience some coaches. No, that's not a rule. It's going to get into an argument, and so.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only meeting they did was just to kind of go over different men stuff. They did not go. So that's unfortunate, but we'll
on the counter.
You're working.
Got it. Thanks.
Yep. Did someone else have something? Thought I heard somebody else. All right. So field markings, make sure we, just like in tackle football, get any of those orange yard markers at least 6 feet off the sideline. We can use those as a kind of a good barrier to let them know where the box is at anyway. So back those up, tell the team and that they need to be behind that. The ones on the goal line even further back, let's say those ones minimum 5 yards. Make sure our pylons are in proper position. If we have a box, and make sure they're operating at least at the back of that box. Don't ever let them get closer than 2 yards off the sideline, and just work from there. Number one thing, if you have a down box operator, the first thing I always say, and the only thing they really need to know, is make sure that they keep themselves and players safe by being out of the way if players are coming at them. So that's all I got. Joe, Nick, do you guys have anything that I missed here?
No, John, I think you covered it all. A good presentation. it's a start. You know, rather than going on the field cold, I'm glad we did this.
Hey, I got a question. Is this presentation going to be out there for a rebroadcast that we can look back up if we missed something?
What I'm going to do is I will send both this presentation and that other rules addendum sheet that goes along with our rule book to John and the football board, and get that put on the website. If you guys
we have Raven recording this also, John.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. It'll go up on our YouTube channel.
Yep, so we got it there, and then yeah, if anybody needs an actual copy, I'll send this over to the board as well, so they can have like a PDF of this presentation. So both should be available.
Hey, John, I'm going to piggyback on something Larry asked a few minutes back, an hour or so ago, about the rules. I mean, $10 is not a lot for me, but if they could be sent to us on a PDF, you know, printable, we could have the rules without us costing the $10. Is there a way we can do that? So the association pay for one rule book, just sent to everybody in a PDF form where it can be printable?
Hey, Bill, if you want to get caught for copyright infringements rights, then go ahead and do that. But
okay.
You can't. I mean, the reason I know is because it's been discussed at these national meetings I go to, where you got somebody purchasing a book and trying to print 300 copies off for the membership. You cannot do that.
All right, fair enough. I thought it was, I tried to piggyback off something Larry said, and I don't remember exactly what the answer was, and so I was just bringing it up again. But I got it, no problem.
And if you go back to the links, the rule books are $10 online, and I can tell you they've really made some drastic changes to these online rule books. And I mean, they're good to have for everything. I purchased one for each one of the sports, and they're really good, especially the new ones.
Yeah, and we do, like I said earlier, we do have physical copies that I did get in hand too, that we can get to you. I believe those ones are $6 a piece. So yeah, however you want to do it.
All right, thank you, John.
Hey, I got a question. Can we use the rule books we had for girls' high school flag football from last year?
Yes, you can.
I'd say yeah.
There's not many changes. Not many changes at all.
I just need it for the rules enforcement is what I need to refresh on.
Yep, that'll be all you need for rules for enforcement. Anything else? Any other questions? All right. Anybody else have anything to add? Football.
Just thank you, John. Great job.
Thanks.
Hey, John, thanks a lot.
Thanks, John. Great job.